my channel. Today we're doing something new on my channel, which is testing out all the home brands from my local drugstores. So I live in the Netherlands and we have quite a bit of more affordable brands here, which are usually located within the drugstores themselves, just like Ulta and Sephora have a home brand. So I'm talking about DA, I'm talking about Etos, Kruidvat, Hema. We have B Cosmetics, which is from Ici Paris XL, the home brand. I have a little bit of Boozy Shop, which is the online store that I buy a lot of things from. They also have a home brand now. And I even have some lashes from the Douglas home brand. So some of these stores are available internationally, or at least in Europe a little bit more. So I hope for those of you who don't come from the Netherlands that it's still entertaining for you. You could at least see how the quality in here is. I just thought it was fun because these are the kind of products that I don't usually talk about a lot because it's not readily available for everyone. But I do own quite a bit of these brands because it's sort of a go-to for me when I want something a little bit more affordable. I go to these kind of brands. So I hope you enjoyed this video nonetheless, and otherwise just go to another one. But I'm very much looking forward to doing a full face of Dutch drugstore home brands. So if you are new to my channel, thank you so much for clicking on my video. My name is Cecile. I live in the Netherlands, like I said, and I focus on makeup and fashion videos. So I hope you like this video, and if you do, please consider subscribing. Now let's get right into it. So we're starting off strong because I don't have a drugstore home brand eyeshadow primer. I will zoom you in a little bit. That's okay. I mean, I also don't have a concealer, I don't think, so it's fine. I won't be so strict with myself. So I'm going to go for my Glam Light Icing Primer. And even though I just did that, I realized that I should probably do my brows first because I have the clear brow styler from Boozy Shop. I got this as a freebie. I don't really buy their stuff often on its own. I usually get it thrown in my orders. So it's actually still in the packaging because I wasn't really sure if I wanted to give it a try. The Boozy Shop brand is vegan and cruelty free. It does say so. Whoop. On the packaging. The little soap thing fell out. That's okay. It reminded me a lot of the one I tried from Makeup Revolution a little while ago, which did not work out well for me. But I'm going to see if I can make this work. The Boozy Shop brand runs around, I'd say 2 to 10 euros for the most expensive thing, so it's really affordable. So I especially cleaned off my spoolie so we can check the effect, and I think it left it a little bit damp. So I'm not going to add any water because I feel like that's usually what works best for me. So I'm just going over, I'm really coating it with just the teensiest bit of moisture, but not really a lot of water. That's what I do with my pink honey as well, and it's the way it works best. So let's see. That's actually not bad. See, what I'm starting or growing to hate is when I have those brows with a lot of product in them. I want them to look a little bit more natural, but still like this shape-wise. And I think if you add water to this soap, even if it's just a little bit, then you get those white chunky brows. Alright, I'm quite happy with that. Still looks quite natural. I feel like it's sticking. So I'm not sure if this is any different from just normal soap, but it did work well. My brows are nice and spiked up, and apart from this little section here, I don't think they look too heavy. So far so good. Now let's get back into the eyes. For eyeshadow, I'm just going to show you my options and then pick one. So I actually borrowed two things from my mom because I don't own any eyeshadows anymore from home brands. I have this black and white eyeshadow trio, which would look really nice and dramatic. but I still have a class later today and I'm going to see if I can wear makeup to that class. So I'm thinking about using this one, which is a lot newer. This is new from Hema. It retails for about, I think it was about 15, but it's a really nice satin shade. These are really nice satin shades in nice colors. And as you can see, she hasn't really used it yet. So let's do that ourselves. So I'm taking this big blender brush, which is actually from the Boozy Shop Homebrand, but it is a coincidence. I'm just using my regular brushes today. And since I am wearing pink leggings, I feel like I should go pink and purple. I think that'll be pretty. It's actually more coral and blue now that I'm looking at it, but we'll make it work. So I'm going into this red shade over here, or a little bit more coral shade. Just putting that in my outer crease. So these are usually not the most pigmented shades, but they usually do blend out pretty well. I did own a couple of Hema eyeshadow palettes in the past. It's nice and soft. I guess I'm just putting it all over the crease. I really like this color. Also putting it underneath my eyes. I actually really like this color. So now I wanna just put a nice little shimmer on the lid. I'm not going to do anything too dramatic or special. This is a pretty light toned palette, although we do have this shade. I could deepen it up a little bit. Let's just do that. So this is a satin, but it's not a very shimmery one. So I'm just taking the same brush and I'm putting a little bit of that aubergine satin shade in my outer corner. Also a little bit in the crease. Yeah, that actually looks nice. This one is actually a little bit more shimmery than the first shade that I used. But I personally like shimmer in the crease. So this definitely made it a little bit more vampy. So now I'm taking my finger and I'm going into this shade over here. I'm just using that to brighten up the lid a little bit. So this is what I usually find a little bit disappointing about these Homebrand eyeshadow formulas. They don't provide the nice metallic or really bright shades that I like to use on the lid. But it does give a nice soft look. So with a pencil brush I'm going into that white pearly shade that was underneath, and I'm going to use that more precisely. See, I do really like this one. I guess the one that I just used, the pink one, just wasn't very opaque. I'm just going to take this a little bit over. I actually like that. There is one shade that is even lighter than this one, but I think this is a matte. But I could try and use it as a brow bone highlight. I don't usually do brow bone highlights, but what the hell. Just a little bit of brightness. Just like that. And I think that's going to be it for the eyeshadows, but I actually do really like this look and I do like this palette. So far still so good. For eyeliner I have a couple of options. I have this sort of deep brown eggplanty shade, which is a kohl pencil by Etos. I also have the black one, which I often use. And I have this brown pencil by Kruidvat. So I'm going to use two. I'll use the brown one in my lower waterline. I do really like this pencil. I really like the color. It's a metallic brown and it's really affordable. It's very smudgy, so you have to be a little bit careful. As you can see, it delivered a lot of, or distributed a lot of product. But that does work really nice in the waterline. And then I'm going to take this dark brown one, which is in the shade number 2. And I'm going to use this along my top lashes. This one is definitely a lot more stiff. See, I had to go over many times and the color is actually not even that much deeper than the other one. And I think this one is going to be a little bit too scratchy for my upper waterline. So I'm going into the black one, which I think, yeah, it's also a kohl pencil, but it's a lot softer than the brown one. But it is a nice intensity. So, 3 eyeliners. That's a little bit excessive, but I do like this look. Now, I do run into a small problem because I only have a blue mascara and I don't think it fits the look. So I'm going to cheat a little bit and I'm just going to use my Catrice Lift Up black mascara. I'm not going to use any eyeliner. But I do want to put on those Douglas lashes, so I can't use a blue mascara. But if you watched one of my latest testing new makeup videos, I did try that blue mascara from Hema. And I was actually pleasantly surprised. So I actually have 2 pairs of lashes that I can choose from. I've had these for years. These are from Hema and they're coated with silver glitters, but this is not the kind of look that needs silver lashes. So I'm just going to keep these maybe for New Year's Eve. And then I do have these ones from Douglas, which I really like. They are a little bit worn out, but I'm sure they'll be fine. So these are, well, they're not that long, but they are flared and they are pretty full. So they do give quite a nice effect. They're called the smoky lashes. I'm not sure if they still have these, but I have 2 pairs of Douglas lashes and I like both of them a lot. They're quite comfortable. So there's that. And they're not that expensive either. I think they're €8 usually, but I got them for half. It does come with a little bit of glue, which we are also going to try out. Yeah, sometimes you use the glue that comes with the lashes and you're pleasantly surprised at how well it's sticking. And sometimes you're left thinking that maybe next time you should use your own glue. And that's definitely what I'm feeling with these. But alright, they're on. They're not very even. But I don't think I cut them even, so that's really not the lashes' fault. I think they're just a little bit longer on this side anyway. I'm going to try to pull them a little bit to the side. Like this. Alright, like this maybe. I think this will have to do. I'm a little bit rusty with my lash application. Alright, it took a little while, but we're halfway there. I'm just going to take a wipe to see if there's any fallout. But there really isn't much. I'm really quite content with that. So now we have a couple of things for the face. Maybe I should zoom you out just a little bit. Even though my skin looks pretty glowy at the moment, I do want to use this Beyond the Galaxy Oil Blend Glow Primer from Kruidvat. I bought this very recently, so it should still be available and I really love this product. First of all, look how it looks. It's this beautiful galactic moisture and it's really, really nice because it's a dry oil. So you can just put it on your face and not have to worry about it being too heavy or too sticky. So I just spread it beneath my fingers and just apply pretty generously, especially right here between my brows. I get very dry. On my cheeks. I really have normal skin, but I do have a couple of dry patches, especially now that it's winter. So this is really nice. I really like this primer underneath my NARS foundation as well, because that is one of my favorite foundations I have discovered, but only when I use the proper primers. Otherwise it just dries down a little bit too much for me. But we're not using that one today. I actually have 2 foundations that we can choose from. I borrowed one from my mom. She has a foundation from B Cosmetics, which is the home brand from Ici Paris XL, which is the most expensive one from all of these, but I think this foundation ranges at about 20 euros. So it's still, I guess it's a little bit more high-end, but it's not that expensive. So I have this one, but it's in a slightly deep shade for me. But I do actually have these color adjusting drops from Etos, which I could also try out. And then I have a foundation from Kruidvat, which is the Stay With Me Whipped Foundation in the shade number 10, which I'm sure is the lightest one. And this is actually a really interesting one. And the shade also works for me really well. So we could use that one. And then I have the Face from DA. Look, it just says Face, which I did try out in a video about a year ago. I don't think this was my favorite, but I do think the color is alright. Let's just see how deep this B foundation actually is. Maybe I should shake it up a little bit. Because this is a CC cream, so it should be a little bit lighter coverage. But my mom has slightly deeper skin than me. Oh, this looks really dark. Is this the correct shade for her? Medium? Look how dark this is. I could actually use this as a bronzer. I'm sure this is not correct. Interesting. I mean, she's not that much deeper than I am. Yeah, I could definitely use this as a bronzer. Maybe I will. I'll just leave it on my hand for now, in case I want to use it. So let's just go with the whipped foundation from Kruidvat, because that's the most interesting one. I'll just use my regular foundation brush with it, which just about fits. And this is a little bit more of a dry matte foundation, but since we use that oil underneath, I think it should be alright. It's a very natural looking foundation, especially when you pair it with the proper primer. I think it's very oily skin friendly. And you don't need that much to get a nice even coverage, but it's not full coverage at all. I think it's more of a medium. But it does cover my spots and my redness definitely. The shade is actually quite perfect. It's a little bit yellow, which I prefer. See, it did a nice job. It still looks a little bit luminous because of that primer, but it gave a little bit more coverage. I actually don't want to use the little concoction that's left on my hand because I have other bronzing products that I want to use. And that foundation is of course not actually a bronzer. But I do have questions because she got this advice to her in the store. And it just seems very dark to me. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. Maybe it oxidized over the years. So, foundation is on. Now I don't actually have a concealer, but I do have this 2-in-1 cover stick from Etos, which is a sort of skincare makeup hybrid. And as you can see, I do have this spot here. And I think this is a little bit deep. We're just going to use it. Oh, it's really thick, so I had to push really hard, but I gotta say, it covered it up really well. It's going to be too dark for my under eyes, so I'll just put on a different concealer. Now I do actually have a couple of liquid products, so let's just do one of those. I have these two stick blushes from Kruidvat, which I really love, and I think this color is going to be perfect, so I'm leaning towards this one. But I just want to show you the options. So I do actually have these liquid blushes from Kruidvat as well, but these are not as pigmented, just letting you know. Then I have a 2-in-1 stick from B Cosmetics, which has a bronzer on one side. But this is not one of my favorite products, not at all. It's really thick and hard to blend, and it's a little bit dark for me. So I kept it for this video just to show you, but it's not actually something I'm recommending. And then finally I have this highlighter from Douglas, which I am going to use just to show you. It's really cool. It's this sort of galactic, almost multi-chromatic highlighter. I'm just going to use it right there on my cheeks. It's in the shade number 2, and it's their Express Radiance highlighter stick. I'm not sure if they still have it, but if they do, I definitely recommend this one. It also works really well on bare skin, and it works really well just tapped a little bit underneath the eyes. I personally really like a radiant under eye, so there's a little tip for you. I personally really like that. So let's also use this one, which is the Blushing Beauty Lip and Cheek Balm by Kruidvat in the shade number 3, Cherry Darling. And these are not incredibly pigmented as well, but as you can see, they do build and they do leave quite enough pigment. So I just draw these on like this, which is of course looking ridiculous, but it'll work out. Then finally I just take my foundation brush and I blend it out a little bit more. And I could of course build this up a little bit more, but I think this is fine. So that's going to be it for our liquid products. Then I do want to use this one. This is the B Photo Filter Face Palette. And B-A-E, is actually a sub-home brand from Hema, which is supposed to be a little bit more natural, but also a little bit more youthful. And I'm not even sure if they still make this, but it's a really nice face palette. On its own, this is definitely too yellow, this too blue, and this too pink. But if I mix these three, I sort of get a nice color for my under eyes. I haven't used it in a while though, so let's see if that's still accurate. So I'm just going to take a little bit of those 3 lighter powders. Yeah, I think that created a really nice light shade. It's just they're a little bit too heavily pigmented for powders. You don't want an actual blue powder underneath your eyes, at least I don't. I should pull this back out. Look how nicely it sort of smoothed things out without mattifying it too much. Because these of course aren't actually setting powders, they're more correcting powders. So I don't think they're quite as matte as other powders might be. I'm just going to use it there. I like my shininess on other places. And I think this shade Glow Light I could actually use as a bronzer, but I have another bronzer, so I'm not going to do that. What I am going to use as a bronzer is also from B. This was limited edition for the summer. It's a illuminating baked bronzer, but I just want to show you because I'm sure they'll come out with something similar next year, and this is really a very nice bronzer. Not quite as nice as my Chanel one, but you know, I don't want to use that fancy of a bronzer every day, so I use those two. I interchange between those two. So I use this giant brush, and also this one is a little bit more deep than the Chanel one. As you can probably tell, you can go overboard quite quickly. But I just use a really big brush and I go over half my face with it. And I think it looks really nice. Yeah, it's definitely a little bit dark for me, especially in the winter. But it is very nice and a little bit glowy. And now that we've done all that, I kind of want to... I'm not sure if I want to blush up a little bit, but I do want to sort of deepen this part a little bit. So I do have this blush palette from Douglas, the Fall Lights. This is not available anymore, but there is a nice... this pinky shade in here. I'm just going to take a little bit of that. See, I like that a lot more. I don't really like that super bright under eye anymore. I like it to be very blushy. And then with that highlighter underneath, yeah, I think that's a lot better. Then I think we're highlighted enough. I do want to show you this highlighting palette, which I got from Hema. This looks very appealing, but it's actually not my favorite. It's very chunky and it doesn't even give that much glow. So I just want to say beware for this one, because it is about 10 euros. So it's affordable, but it's not very cheap. So I'm just saying, I'm actually pointing you towards this one from Douglas more. Or I got this one from B Cosmetics. which is really nice because it goes from white to dark pink. So you can mix and match and use this as a glowy blush as well if you're a little bit fairer like I am. So I like this one too. Let me quickly put a little bit of brow in my brow, because otherwise they're looking very empty. This is from Benefit. And then finally, we need something on our lips. So I have quite a bit of options here. I'll just hold them all up. I actually also have a blue one, but I don't know where it is. So these are my options. So I have, these ones are from the same line as that face palette was from B at Hema. And I think I really like this one. And then I also have a couple of lipsticks from DA, which are Movie Star, Hot Lips, which is of course a bright red, and Soft Coral. And then finally I have one from Etos, which is Kylie's Fave, which is a brown. And I think with what I'm wearing on my face, I should do something red or pink. So these are my pink options. I actually never used this one yet because I forgot about it. But I think this is too bright. But I do have this one which is called Popsicle, which I think could be really nice. So let's use this one, see how it goes. These are metallic lipsticks and this is a very Barbie shade. They don't have the most opacity, but they do have a nice metallic sheen. I'm not convinced on this shade yet. I do have a lip liner, but it's a little bit more brown. I'm not sure how much good that will do. I also have this lip pencil from Etos in a more deep brownie shade. So let's try that. Oh, see, it's a little bit more purple. Then I'm going to take my finger. Sort of blend those two together. So you get this sort of purple ombre. Oh, I don't like this. I don't like it with the eyeshadow and I don't like it at all. We're going to take that off. Let's just put on a bright red or something. So I think I'm going to go with this one, Hot Lips, which is just a very bright red, which I'm sure will work. So this is red, but I do like it a little bit better than what I just did. So I think it's very bright. I don't think this is the perfect match for it, but I think this is the best I can do with what I have right here. So this is my finished look. I hope you liked seeing all these products. Overall, I really do like these home brands. And even though not everything is my favorite, and part of it is that I can't test things out in store or not properly, so I have to sort of take a guess and try it at home. But overall, I'm still impressed. I do like this look. I like the amount of glow that I got with that primer. That is honestly, if you're going to buy one thing from this stuff, then I would recommend this primer, especially if you have a little bit more dry or normal skin, because this is gold. So I hope you enjoyed this. Subscribe if you did like this video, and I will see you in the next one.